Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of the show. Okay, I got to lead with this. I've been on a lot of campuses, folks, and I want to go on record right now. On LinkedIn, this is live. Whoever's watching, Coconino Community College has the most beautiful campus in America. Just put it out there. You've got the San Francisco Peaks behind you. You got the Ponderosa Pines, and when the wind just blows, and you've got those wind chimes right at your front entranceway. It is just a vibe like no other. You're sitting at about 7,000 feet. And Dr. Eric Heiser, Aspen Fellow, the man, it gets to run the joint. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me, Joe. It's great to be here. And no argument on most beautiful campus. No argument here.
Has anybody ever compared, like pushed against that at all and said, no, we believe that we are, and maybe your neighbor, maybe JL next door, perhaps.
There's probably 9 other community colleges in the state that think that their area is beautiful for varying reasons, right? But I'll take ours every day and twice on Sunday. And largest ponderosa pine forest in the world. The peaks behind you, it's just beautiful.
All seasons too. All
Yep.
seasons.
All 4 seasons. Yeah.
So I want to dig into it. You had the credentials, you had the momentum, and then you looked at 18,000 square miles of high desert with 26 tribal nations, an enrollment cliff like the area had never seen before, and federal funding uncertainty. And you put your hand up and you said, "Pick me." Yeah, that's the one. I don't know. Dr. Heiser, if that was genius or did something break in your decision-making software someplace?
I would say, Joe, that for me, I was raised with the ideal that you don't get to complain unless you do something about it. So if I'm going to complain, and there's a lot of complaining that you certainly could be doing, or you could just attempt to be the change, right? Is to use the cliche. But yeah, I started teaching. I still love to teach. It's where I find my energy. Love being in the classroom. Don't have near enough time for it anymore. I still do get to teach here and there, but just the ability to affect change and seeing that if you want to move that needle further and further, you're going to have to go higher and higher up that ladder. And so with all of the fun is the adjective I'll use that comes with.
Is that an acronym, by the way?
Yeah. We just won't define it.
We won't.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like if you're going to sit back and complain, you're not going to do something about it. Why complain? Like why even spend your time?
Yeah.
So we're in a tough spot right now. You alluded to the federal, but our state's got nothing to hang their hat on. We're 48, 49, 50 in the nation when it comes to both K-12 and higher ed funding, and that's laughable. It really is. Because the only other thing you could do is cry, and yet we're still making it. So it's not going to get any easier the next couple of years, but man, how bleak of a future if we don't exist.
Yeah, for those people out there that live in education-friendly states, I think this is a perspective check. I mean, we're all working hard, and every one of you says we can't pedal any harder. But some of you, like Eric, have gale force winds that are just hitting them every single day, where others might have a little bit of a side wind or even maybe a tailwind. So I think that's just good perspective for all of us. And here's what I think the sector has decided to do about just rural access, because that's a whole nother layer on top of all of that. They've decided to make maybe a website, and you put some online courses up there, and they call it innovation. Meanwhile, the student way over there in Tuba City, right,
Yep.
With unreliable internet, is working 2 jobs and needs credentials to like create not even a preferred future, just a little bit better future. Yeah. What do you see your peers doing when they look at that reality that just is not working, and you decided, you know what, at this campus, we're going to do things fundamentally different?
So I would point to my my background, how I grew up. I grew up on the Wind River Indian Reservation, very similar to Navajo Nation, and the coincidences are many in terms of where I grew up. Yeah, I happen to be further north in Wyoming, but I think it's the ideal that just because the geography should not play a role in whether or not you have the ability to be successful. But too often it is. That is the case. And I've seen it throughout my career. Wyoming, Utah, even in Ohio, when I was out in Ohio, the proximity to urban places and places for you to engage with education do play a large role in whether or not you're successful. And you take that and you multiply that by 100 when it comes to life on the reservation. Seeing this now twice in my life, again, growing up in Wyoming, right on the exterior boundaries of Wind River, and just seeing the amount of poverty that was on the reservation, the infrastructure being so criminally underdeveloped because it was not funded in the way that it should have been at the federal level, and that playing a part in whether or not someone gets to be successful, that really hits at my heart in terms of like, that's not okay. Why should that be the determining factor? So again, going back to if you're going to complain about it, you may as well try and do something. So
Yeah, and it's not just a funding issue. The traditional semester calendar wasn't built for any of those places
yeah.
also, and you've decided to re-engineer much of what you provide. Where did that come from? And compare and contrast when you stepped onto campus for the first time to your level of service to those communities. How is it different today?
Yeah, so I would say when I got to Utah, I think we've all probably known for at least 40 or 50 years, those that have been in the industry this long, that the semester calendar is terrible for our students, right? If we're serious about who our students really are, instead of the student that's 18 and they're going to college, and like, that's not our student. Our students work in multiple jobs. They've got a family. A lot of times they're the sole breadwinner. So this idea that they're going to take education from us between the hours of 9 and 2 is ludicrous. So when I got to Salt Lake, got to be involved with a really, I say cutting edge for higher ed, but cutting edge project in what's called competency-based education. The elevator pitch for CBE is remove time as the constant and make learning the constant and time the variable. And by doing that, you blow up the semester, because if I master the competencies within a course, let's say I start in January and I do that in February, I'm moving.
Boom,
I'm not waiting
boom.
until May. So that really started a fire within me to say, man, we can do this better. And so that has, admittedly, it's a slow slog because you're dealing with systems that are 100 years old, and you're fighting upstream.
Much of it is protected. I mean,
Well,
the broken system is protected. So what
absolutely.
I'm wondering about, if somebody listening in right now, it's that, well, where do you start? You've got some good theory. Nobody's going to question, yeah, I wish I would have had the short track, growing up, because I had to, go through the labyrinth of silliness, just like a lot of students do. But where did you start? Where did you redesign first?
Uh, the the phrase "you eat the elephant one bite at a time," right? That's a great way to describe it. We started with our 1 year or less certificate programs, and oh, by the way, those just happen to be the most popular programs across the country
Mm.
today. Those are the programs students are engaging in today. So start at the areas that work, that are the easiest or least resistant, and I don't mean resistant by faculty side. I mean least resistant in terms of the least number of hurdles that you have to get through.
You're looking at friction. Just, yeah. Where's the most frictionless space? I
And
love that.
the absolute condemnation about for what I'm about to say is it shows the ills of our federal policy is starting in non-credit. Because the minute that you attach credit to something, the feds are involved, and now you've got to follow these arcane rules that are 50, 60 years old, out of date. So the way we referred to it in Salt Lake was one of the schools that I was a dean over was we called it our skunk works. and that was mainly non-credit because you had so much flexibility. You didn't have to worry about all these rules that didn't make any sense. And then once you showed success in the Skunk Works, you were able to kind of roll that out college wide. And so that's really how we started. And I've always we did this through, in folks that have been in higher ed for 15 years or more are going to remember this acronym. We got a TACT grant. So this was 2013, 2014. We were, I think, round 3 or 4 of the TACT program. And we were way too ambitious. We told the feds, yeah, we'll transition 20 programs in 3 years. How no one died in that process is beyond me. But we got it done. And by far the biggest lessons learned were start small and start in an area where you're not going to run into those headwinds right away. Because you're going to get headwind. It's just a matter of how much.
That is good. I've just grown to respect the fact that you burn fast, boss. You see an opportunity, and you're going to be the first one that says, "Let's blow that up." That's because it's in our way, and let's run as fast as we can. But those learning lessons where you take a beat, and oftentimes you just learn by maybe tripping a little bit and having the slats kicked out from underneath you during the process,
Yep.
right? But you learn, and I think those are two very, very valuable things. Don't not start.
Oh yeah.
Don't not start. Right?
Yeah. No paralysis by analysis. Like you gotta jump at some point.
Yeah. So 26 tribal nations. I mean, dozens of communities spread across the geography that you represent. It's really not a student body; it's a whole civilization, right?
Yeah.
What has leading in that context? Because I just put my mind and my heart, my body in that situation, and that's not my lived experience. So, what has leading in that context required you to unlearn about yourself?
I think the idea, first and foremost, that that college is talked about, and this could go for the families that are both on and off the reservation. You hit it, the lived experience, right? I grew up with a single parent, a single father in the 80s, which was very, very rare. Like this was, everyone still talked about, take this home to your parents, take this home. Like I had my dad. So that lived experience shaped me. But the idea that families are talking about college, no matter where they're at, and especially so in the rural areas, it isn't happening. And we meaning higher ed, have gotten very arrogant with this idea that they're just going to come to us. Of course, people are going to go to college. If they don't know about you, and this is a first-gen family, how the heck are they going to find you? Right. So it really is about kind of reinventing, restarting the process, really at square one. We have started now, Joe, with a program with United Way. It's a program called Kinder Camp. This is for students who were not lucky enough, I'll use the term luck, to have gotten preschool prior to getting into kindergarten. So what Kinder Camp does is it provides them an opportunity to have the kindergarten or to preschool experience 4 weeks in June every summer, because the research that's out there right now says if there's no preschool, when they start kindergarten, they're already behind.
It's not really about what's happening in Kinder Camp, is it?
No, to your point, it's all about getting them in, and it's socializing this environment. And so we took most of these kids, again, won't surprise anyone, these are underserved communities. We took every single one of them, have for the past 3 years now, and said, you're coming to college for free. You're coming to CCC for free. When you graduate, you're coming to us for free.
Hey friends, quick question before we get back to it. I know that you have talented people on your leadership team, but is your team actually performing to its full potential? Most aren't, and most don't know why. The Team Intelligence Assessment is a solution to change that. Find out where your team stands at higherperformancegroup.com. Go to find your starting point to get started today, or click the QR code in the screen right here. All right, back to the show.
That has single-handedly changed the narrative around.
And then you give them one of these.
The teal ticket, Coco and the teal ticket, right? So again, that when I talk about arrogance, it's just like, well, the students are going to come to us. Not if they don't know about you.
It's not our world anymore.
It
No.
isn't. And it means starting at the very bottom, at kindergarten, and continuing to engage with these families to say, hey, remember the teal ticket? It's still here. You're coming, your students come to us. Fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, summer camps, all of these things, so that we can normalize the idea of course I'm going to CCC. I've been there throughout my whole life.
Yes.
And now we've got NAU to jump on. So the last 2 years of the bachelors are free. I mean, this is how you change communities. It doesn't happen overnight. This is going to take years to develop. But to our point, what we've talked about earlier, you got to start somewhere.
You do. And you are surrounded by a couple of other troublemakers that I know. We had JL on the program last week, and he talked about maybe some tension that he had with his other two big colleagues across Arizona, where he said, you know what? Your success in high school it's not a determiner whether you're coming to my campus.
Yep.
And just blew the walls off of all the prereqs. And
Yep.
he had to do that in partnership, and many of those partnerships are right there with you. But it's a whole different mindset that has to come first, I believe, from a different heart set that
Yep.
says we believe. It's almost like where Miss Becky and I are building right now, and every room that's just nothing but studs and wires right now. She's taken a picture of it and put it in GPT, and it's giving this with the fireplace and clock on the wall and the cute little poster. You almost have to create that reality for students today.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't let a minute go by without saying, Jose Luis is president of NAU. He best in the business, best I've ever come across. A university president that understands the idea that a community college is complementary and not competitive to the mission of a university. Unfortunately, he is few and far between. But holy cow, I cherish and relish the ability to get to do this with him up here in northern Arizona.
Who talks like that? I mean, normally it is a competitive environment in that pipeline, but the joy of being able to actually, have a complementary partner that you believe in, he believes in you, and yeah, what a wonderful world sitting on top of the most beautiful campus in America. I mean, what in the world? You could have chosen to go a different direction. Okay, you stayed in the classroom. You love teaching.
Yep.
Right? Built maybe something a little smaller, chosen the safer path. There are days when, especially this past year, I've had a chance to talk to more presidents that have said the last 18 months have been harder than leading through COVID. You could have chosen a different path, but you didn't. You didn't. What keeps you in the game?
It's going to sound cliche, but we are a better society when we're educated. And again, at the end of the day, I alluded to if you're going to complain about something, then you better try and do something about it. Man, if we give up on education, that's it. I mean, you talk about things important to the life that we live, that we get to live here in the U.S., the ideals of a democracy and all of those things, that doesn't happen without education. And so it really is, it's simple, but it's true. Like we should want people to be educated, and it doesn't have to look the same, right? One person's journey, one student's journey is going to look completely different than another student's. But by gosh, if they're getting educated and finding themselves in the process, then we're winning. And that's what continues to drive me, what has driven me for the past 22 years, and the reason that I get out of bed every morning.
I've heard you say this before, and it's a bold statement, but if CCC loses, I mean, it's the stakes of the game. If the momentum stops happening, what does Coconino County actually look like?
I mean, again, I don't want to sound too outlandish, but we talked when we were informing our citizenry about the bond, the $100 million capital construction bond that we were so lucky to pass.
Congratulations, by the way. That was monumental.
Yeah.
First bond in what,
26 years.
26 years.
Yeah. But where I think the message hit home with the community was to say, look, without us, you don't have nurses. Without us, you don't have general contractors. Without us, you don't have the trades that are so badly needed in an area that is already very, very expensive to live. But without those folks, do you have a community? And so, and again, it wasn't a threat. It was just, look at how valuable your community college is to your community. And I think every community college can make that case.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a pathway to democracy is what it is. Providing opportunity. It's a promise. Doggone it, it's a promise.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that you're building a success system, and I've just loved watching you put the pieces together. You're kind of inventive. You're a guy that doesn't follow the traditional path and go, you know what? I went to a conference and here's the playbook. You're developing your own playbook, and that's what I love about you. It's what I love about your team. Is this what you're building? Is it a national model? Can it export, or is the terrain a little bit too specific in northern Arizona?
I don't think so. I think there's, again, you're going to have to do what your community needs, and is desiring. But at the end of the day, I don't think the playbook changes a whole lot, right? The players, they're interchangeable to go through the football. You know, you're looking through a football playbook, and you got to see, who do I have on my bench? Who do I have that's my starting 11? You know, all those. But you could run this anywhere. It's just a matter of the want. And the ambition, really, to say we can do better. We just going to have to do some work to get there.
Yeah. Well, I heard you just kind of burp up some of that old sports analogy there again. All right, it's lightning round time. We're going to see how human you really are there, boss.
Okay.
So, first question, you ready?
Yep.
Locked in. What's a quote that you live by?
It's the Frost poem, "Road Less Traveled." Every time I have a decision, taking the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. My journey has been like this.
Yes.
But man, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Wow. And you're modeling that way for others. What's the worst advice you've ever heard in leading people?
That you don't have to talk to them.
just do it. Just Nike them.
Yep. Unfortunately, had that demonstrated early in my career, and vowed I would never do that as a leader.
What a wonderful learning opportunity. How about the best advice you've ever received?
I would say remnants of the at the end of the day, the golden rule. Just treat people the way that you would want to be treated. And that it does not have to be all touchy-feely. Like, at the end of the day, when you're going through hard things, think about it from the perspective of those that are going through it. Yeah. And it makes you a lot more human, and it gives you a lot more empathy to be able to do. I'm not saying that, it's going to help you to make the hard decisions. Hard decisions suck, but it's part of what we sign up for in this job. But at the end of the day, if you can have that empathy and just think about how you would want to be treated when those things are happening, I think it makes that process more. I would say it definitely doesn't make it easier, but it does make it something that you can get through and come out on the other side.
The world needs a whole lot more of that. How about an unpopular opinion? Do you have any that you're just really eager to defend?
That higher education is unequivocally worth the investment.
That's an unpopular opinion.
For those not in our space, nationally, I think that's absolutely being argued right now, that it's not worth the money, that it's not worth the investment. I think there's so much data out there to show that it is unequivocally one of the best bargains that you can get.
That's solid. I know that your backyard, you can go out into the outback, but would you choose canyon or the forest?
I'm going to say forest, but it's a close call.
Something you've changed your mind about recently?
The idea that everyone can get things done, or anyone can get things done if they just work hard enough. I think that is built on a faulty premise. And it usually who you hear that from is folks that had stuff set up before them that they didn't even really realize. Again, it's not their fault. Yeah. It's just we come from every different walk of life, and there are those of us that are out there that are going to need more support than others, and that's not a bad thing. It's okay. But this pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Again, I'm not saying you don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, you've got to work hard. But if you have hurdles before you that another person doesn't, there's some work obviously we're going to need to do in that realm.
Sometimes we need those bootstraps sewed on for us by others
Yep.
to give us the ability to pull them up. How about a decision in this role that you'd make 10 times over, boss?
You know, at the end of the day, I think I keep coming back to what I just alluded to with the golden rule. When I've had hard decisions, making sure that we communicate as clearly as possible so that folks understand. They don't necessarily have to agree with it, but they understand how we got there. And I've seen that play out a couple of times now, and we'll continue to do that. Again, it doesn't mean that people are always going to agree with you, but if you can at least communicate as to how you got there and why those decisions were made, I think ultimately most folks will respect that.
Clarity is kindness. If you're not running the campus, what are you doing?
Hiking, playing with the growing daughters. I have two daughters, 14 and 11. They're very quickly going to be moving out of the house. So we're traveling with them, doing everything we can to expose them to different cultures and different places around the world, playing with the doggos and watching sports, watching my beloved Philadelphia sports teams who cause me more angst than most.
I respect that. One word or a phrase for CCC's future.
Exponential.
Any questions you have for me?
Why do you do what you do?
Yeah. I had one other president ask me that, and I think my response was everything that I do has to be generated out of love. I mean, because that gets me out of bed in the morning. It's dukes up because love is a fighting word. I love amplifying the brilliance of others. And I love finding people that don't know who they were made to be and just helping to point them in the right direction and watching them go, ah, because it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I do believe we're all built for nuanced, worthy work. And when I can see somebody that has found that and is on purpose, the world needs a few more of them on this planet. So, great question. Thanks for asking. Dr. Heiser, you are one of my favorite people on the planet. You really are. I love the work that you're doing. I love where it comes from. I've had the opportunity to meet a number of your team there as well, and what they're building is legit, folks. It's not, and it, like you said, you know, sometimes the work isn't real sexy backstage. It's like it's hard. It's challenging. Oftentimes, it's not traditional, and you don't get a whole lot of accolades for it as well. But when you see the results in how your community is prospering right now, because it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and you are on the grow. And I just wanted to just commend you and all that you're doing. If they want to learn more about your campus, if they want to track you down, how do they find you?
So coconino.edu, that's the easiest way to find out about the campus at everything that we're up to up here. I'm on LinkedIn, so certainly folks can find me there, and usually not very hard to find in the AACC and Aspen circuits either. So
there it is. There it is. And if you're wondering, you know, what to do this summer as far as a getaway, Flagstaff, Arizona. It's one of the best destinations for maybe your budget travel this summer if you can't afford to go across the pond. That's the show, friends. Peace. Thanks again, Eric.
Thanks, Dr. Joe.